All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my boy, Colts Loyalist. And today we're going to talk about a position that the Indianapolis Colts will need to figure out because currently they don't have much at the left tackle position right now, right? Mm-hmm. And, I mean, two guys that they thought was going to be the starter last year are free agents this year. We're going to talk about Julian Davenport, was supposed to be that starter in place of the injured Eric Fisher. He's a free agent. Just going to say let him stay that way.
Stay free.
And then, of course, Eric Fisher is a free agent this year as well. So the Colts have to find themselves a starting left tackle. We are going to discuss, hey, what are they going to go do to fill that position? It's kind of you got to go with talent versus money because right now the Indianapolis Colts have so much money that they've already invested on the offensive line. Do you want to really end up paying over $100 million by itself, like almost half of your cap room on your offensive line? I don't know if you really want to go that route, Loyalist. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't. I mean, I'm an offensive line guy, but quite honestly, I'm more ready this year for them to look for a wide receiver or a tight end or a DN through free agency and stuff, and that's going to cost a little extra money. So I feel like, remember Ballard in the presser said, we're going to have to use some Band-Aids possibly for another year. I think that this left tackle, maybe even two Band-Aids, crisscross them or something, make them extra strong or something.
There you go. That's one way of doing it. Now, obviously, one of the options that the Indianapolis Colts can do is bring back the former left tackle in Eric Fisher. There's a lot of question marks. He did do well in the run game. We can say that he was a bulldozer in the run game. But when it comes to the pass protection, when he was on an island, he had problems. Now, there's a lot that can be said to that. People, including Company of Eagles, dropped a question, what's the difference between Carson Wentz and Eric Fisher? Neither one of them having this offseason. Does that affect a left tackle when it comes to performance? Now, not having an offseason, in the run game, it can. In the pass protection, not so much because you're on an island, as I said earlier. Now, when you're on an island against a pass rusher, your job is basically, first and foremost, make sure that you don't give up that outside edge. And at that point, that is where you're on an island. That is something that especially a veteran, right? A veteran should know you can't give up that edge. You got to be able to get out there and take care of it. If anything, give up the inside so that maybe you could get help from a chip from your left guard, or even a running back could step in and give a help if he's stuck in there. If you give up that outside edge, it's very difficult for a running back or the guard to do anything to give you help. What are your thoughts on the fact that he missed the offseason and it affecting him?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, to me, conditioning, just being in that. I mean, because we went to training camp and we saw him. The guy was running up and down the field. He was doing the best he could, but there wasn't a whole lot of explosion, in anything. It was just a steady building up that heart rate and stuff. I feel like that was his biggest obstacle to overcome, was just, getting back in that active game shape, more of the explosion and making good contact and stuff. I feel like that was probably his biggest missing piece with missing the training camp.
But how does that affect later on in the year? I mean, you think about he should be back into game shape by week, 10, right? And we're looking, later in the season where, especially the Jags game, right? He was having some problems out there on the edge and against other teams as well. He is getting older. He is coming off that Achilles. he might not be the same Eric Fisher he once was, right? I just to put it out there bluntly.
Yeah, or it's either that or he, he came back early, as we all know. He came back. I mean, from an Achilles, he came back ridiculously early. But I know the new surgeon and all that. But my point to that is, remember how we talked about Julian Blackman? We said, hey, he came back early. Did he maybe lose some of that endurance and that durability through the long stretch? So I don't know how much that would have affected, Eric Fisher last year.
Now, looking at how much it would cost to bring Eric Fisher back, I don't think it would cost more than $8 million for a 1-year sample. If you're looking to maybe draft somebody with a second or third round pick, I think that wouldn't be a bad option. Some of the other guys out there right now, it can be expensive, can be quite expensive. If you want to look at someone like Cam Robinson, who's his market value right now is almost $17 million a year. That's a lot of money for a left tackle. That's a lot of money. And then you go look at Terron Armstead from the Saints, right? That's a chunk of money. You know how much Terron Armstead's looking to get? About $24 million a year. That is ridiculous. And this is going off of Spot Track, right? Their market value evaluations. There are some other options that you can go with. There's older left tackles out there. Obviously, you got Jason Peters from that was in Chicago last year. Nate Soldier, the ex-Patriot, who's currently with was with the Giants. Dwayne Brown is an older guy as well. Riley Rife. You got options, but they're mostly older. Then you got a few younger guys, as you're just discussing, like a Trent Brown. Now, some of these guys, it would cost to trade for, right? We're hearing right now that the Texans left tackle, might be on the chopping block, might be out there on the trade block right now. He's going to cost a ton of money as well, and probably a pretty penny when it comes to how much that you're going to trade for him. Would you be in the market to give up draft capital for a left tackle?
No. And here's why I say that is because there is a lot of, like, I was looking at this and something I was tossing around. It's like, get somebody that's a really outstanding swing tackle, like Cornelius Lucas from the Washington football team, Commanders, whatever they're called this week. This guy is really good. He's got a lot of snaps at both right tackle and left tackle. You know what I mean? And he's graded out really well. To your point, go and look at a Jason Peters or something, okay, where you might get him for between $2 and $5 million a year. Okay. Somebody that last year he produced fairly well. He rated above 75 on the PFF score and all that, consistently over the last couple of years. So if you sit there and you get this guy, okay, if he falls off, and we can bring back a Matt Pryor, and then, like I said, have another this Cornelius Lucas, then you've got pieces that you can move around that all of them have had reps at left tackle. Because a lot of this, like the Riley Wright, I would not want to see him on the left tackle. He's, to me, is strictly a right tackle option. So for me, I guess that's what I meant by the double Band-Aid is, maybe do you find that 1 year piece that hopefully it doesn't fall off and then just have a backup plan.
Now, there is questions out there about the left tackle in the draft. Now, this is a way that you could go about it. Grab yourself, your Band-Aid and then go to the draft. Now, the draft for the offensive tackle position this year is considered incredibly deep. But much to the same aspect of last season, how many of these are true left tackles, right? And of course, left tackle is one of those positions that, because it's such a premier position in the NFL, they are reached for big time. Even when, most generally your thought process is this guy'd be better as a right tackle than a left tackle, right? Now, the guys that are in the draft like Evan Neal, Charles Cross, Kenyon Green, Tyler Lindenbaum, Akim Ekwano, Guys like that, the Colts are not going to sniff them. They're going to be gone in the first round, early second round. There are guys out there that could possibly reach that position. Sean Ryan out of UCLA, he's 6'5", 320 pounds. Grades pretty good. Might be someone that the Colts might look for in the second or third round. Same with Boston College's Zion Johnson, who's, very similar, 3'14", 6'3". Also kind of a good rating to him, but not someone that I think is going to reach in the first round. What do you think about that option?
Yeah, if you do the Band-Aid thing, I feel like you have to address it. If not in the second, then in the third, to your point. Because you wait too long, and like we did, what was it? Round 7 when we got our first offensive lineman last year, and we didn't have a left tackle that year either, so I don't want to sit it there and find ourselves in that spot again, unless you can find something that's a 2 or 3 year solution where if you don't find it this year, then next year. But right now, I feel like the most prudent way is get somebody that you can really plug in for the year or two. And then, like you said, you've got to find your long-term answer in the draft, because we just don't want to keep putting that much capital into this offensive line and keep neglecting, whether it's cornerback or wide receiver or D-end or whatever.
Brandon Wood jumps in here and says, Zion's listed as a guard, not a tackle from what I've seen, and you are correct. However, he's one of those very rare guards that a lot of people, including myself, from what I've seen from film, that believes he can make that transition. Now, can he make it from a guard to left tackle? That's not up for me to discuss right now. I haven't looked that heavily into it, but I do believe that he is very similar in the aspect of what Braden Smith was, that can move to that tackle position, at least right tackle, and really hold a fort down. Whether or not he'll be able to move to left tackle, that's going to take up a little bit of athleticism. I need to see it from him, but I haven't really looked really well. Hardcore so far. Like I said, I don't really look at the film for college hardcore until, free agency starts. Right now is about that time when I'll do that. Guys, we are here live. Appreciate each and every one of you. Please smash that like button. It helps with the analytics so much. And do it before you forget. Don't wait to do it later. Do it now, please. That way, the analytics on YouTube's like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of people watching this that like this. We need to get this out there so that other people can watch it as well. It would help a lot. Speed Maverick, what's up? Appreciate you, company. We already answered your question also. Guys, don't forget to, if you're new here or not a subscriber, what are you waiting on? Subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live or upload a video. And we have sponsors, lots of sponsors, tons of sponsors. One is Ultra Game. Check it out. What's going on, everybody? This episode is brought to you by Ultra Game. Ultra Game is officially licensed by the NFL. Ultra Game NFL is a reintroduction to the classic NFL fan gear, boasting innovative design and fabric updates for the fresh fits for today's stadium goers that appeal to everyone. And if you use the link in the description right now, you get this great Ultra Game NFL Men's Sherpa lined full fleece hoodie sweatshirt. That's right. And this full soft fleece hoodie with Sherpa polyester lining ensures comfort and warmth in the cold weather. Length and fits as perfect as a layering piece for any physical activity. Just make sure you use the link in the description. That way you could get your Ultra Game Men's Sherpa full-lined zip fleece hoodie sweatshirt at a discounted price. Let's get back to the video. And we are back. Sarah Small, what's up? Appreciate you so much dropping a super chat from YouTube right here as we're sitting there discussing She says, I want an edge, a wide receiver, a tight end, a left tackle, and a new quarterback. You're amazing. Well, you're amazing for donating. I appreciate that so much, but you're asking a lot. No offense, okay? But you're asking, you want a lot of everything, and that's, I would too. I don't know if we're going to get that much, though. Might get a second, third round pick to grab a couple positions, and I believe we have enough money under the cap space to get another one. So when it comes to quarterback, I've had discussions about that multiple times. We've had some in the past. We'll see what happens. I honestly don't think that the Colts will end up changing quarterbacks this year, contrary to a lot of reports out there. But it is what it is. Guys, if you want to help donate to the channel, there's multiple ways you could do that. Obviously, smashing that like button is one way. You can also use the link in the description of this video right here below where it says tip. And it's just like a super chat, but, the money that you donate does not limit how much you can actually say, which is also awesome. It's a set amount no matter how much you donate. We appreciate that very, very much. Obviously, you can use this YouTube super chat. And also, guys, another way is Newsbreak. Using the link in the description of this video, clicking on the Newsbreak link, downloading the free app, which so many people already use, and then giving us a follow. Every time you do that, every new person that does that drops money into our pockets. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. Justin Whitmer says, what do you think of starting Pryor at left tackle? I think he'd do fine, but I don't want to see us lose the depth he provides. That's it, right there. I want a traditional starter. I think Pryor is great as a rotational piece, a swing guy that Loyalist was talking about earlier. I don't think he is a bona fide starter, like hardcore guy that you want to put out there on an island game after game after game. What are your thoughts, Loyalist?
I agree completely, and excuse me, that goes back to that point, that's what I thought, if you brought in, a Peters or a Fisher on a cheaper deal, and then you can sit there and get this other guy that I was telling you about, Cornelius Lucas, he challenges, in other words, so not only are you filling that spot, okay, with somebody that can play the position, but there again, you got these two guys now that you don't want to be consistent starters, but if they have to, that they should be able to produce well there. Okay, plus now you've got this battle, okay, for that swing tackle position. And so you are still improving your depth and stuff. Because that's the thing. I don't want to just go back and say, okay, let's get Sam Tevy and let's get all these guys that were just filling names to fill the holes. Okay, I really love what the Ballard and the organization did to give us the depth, and I don't want to backtrack that. You hear a lot of people talking about trading Ryan Wilson or Ryan Kelly, Ryan Kelly and stuff. And it's like, I don't want to drop back from that. You know what I mean? And this is no knock to Danny Penner. I think he could fill in wonderfully. You know what I mean? And I was sort of curious. What do you think about this idea? What if you were to take Ryan Kelly, make a deal with one of these other teams that has the left tackle that we could see, maybe he's 2 years under contract still or something, okay? Now you trade Ryan Kelly because it's going to be a lot easier to find that guard/center to fill that depth piece, a lot easier than it would be to find a left tackle, and with the Colts draft situation being what it is this year.
Okay, now here's the thing. Under normal circumstances, I'd be against it. And why I would be against it is for a couple reasons. One, Ballard has this whole, pay your own, you if you show blah, you know what I mean? And that's what he's
Oh,
doing.
yeah.
Plus the Ryan Kelly losing his child, it just would not look good. This is in order for that to happen, that would be a situation where it would have to be in a full agreement with Ryan Kelly himself. And it would need to be made public, right, for the locker room and the players and everybody to know, hey, you know what? This is something that Ryan Kelly's agreed to. If that happens, sure, see what's out there. But at the same time, I don't think Kelly wants to leave. I think Kelly's really happy here with the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, what center wants to leave? Maybe, you know, and go to another team where you have no idea who the guy to your left and right is going to be, whereas opposed, you know who the heck the guy to your left is. He's the best in the business, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And you got that connection with him. I don't think Ryan Kelly's going to want to go, but to your point, under normal circumstances, on a different team, that probably would play out well. But currently, with the situation with Kelly and with what Ballard has been preaching since he's been here, I don't think that would have a very good effect on the locker room.
Okay. And here, I guess he's not, you know, he's still getting paid. You know what I mean? He's still, and I understand what you're saying as far as whether he would want to, I agree 100%. And I'm not wanting to get rid of Ryan Kelly. I mean, I got to make that crystal clear. He is by far one of my top 5 players on the team. But I also remember sitting there, you know, and thinking, okay, it's going, you know, this, you know, now we're in that phase where some of these things that we're going to lose, like Andrew Walker last year, that hurt. And I feel like that there's going to be some, oh man, that hurts that we're going to lose or have to trade this guy away. I feel like we're going to need some of that this year to get that improvement. You know what I mean? To not stay the status quo or fall back a step.
Now, I mean, to be fair, you know, there are a lot of fans out there that would rather trade Quentin Nelson than Ryan Kelly because you don't want to pay a guard $20 million, right? I am so against that. It's not even funny. When you have a premium talent that is a game changer in any position, you keep that game changing talent, right? And he makes the play of everybody in his position group better, and you got to keep a guy like that. Now, center, I get it. Danny Pinter looked pretty good at center, you know, coming in when he needed to for Ryan Kelly when he had the situations that he was dealing with last year. And like I said, if it wasn't for this exact circumstance with the Colts, I'd be all for it. But with the circumstance, it would have to be a mutual agreement, in my opinion. And I don't know. I don't know. What about, you know, Toxic Tommy's in here says, give Kelly the same guy to snap to a couple years in a row. He hasn't had that, like, ever.
Yeah.
That's true too. That's very true.
Yeah.
Guys, again, we're at the point where we're into the live chat right now with the chat discussion. Appreciate each and every one of you. Really wish that I could give you guys a heads up on my film rooms that I'm going to be dropping, because I am going to start dropping free agent film rooms on a regular, at least one a week. I'll have one dropped by tomorrow, maybe tonight. I don't know. Already got the film, the clips, and everything. I just got to get it all together. But you know, I'm working on it. Plus, I'm going to be a guest on another guy's show here in the next week or two. So keep
also,
an eye out.
Guys, you said that, you know, he's going to be generating all these film rooms and stuff. There's another upside to being a Patreon member. You know, Lawrence sits there and he puts out, hey guys, what is it you want to see? You know, the Patrons. That's sort of what that another benefit you get is, you know, you get a little insight, you know, as to what you get to see and when you get to see it.
Absolutely. I mean, I just dropped that film room for the Leo position a few days ago. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out. I had a lot of questions on that. So I decided to go ahead and drop that out there. Shout out to a lot of guys that are in the chat. Joe Thornburg, of course, Brandon Wood, awesome. Donald Shelton, I already mentioned. Toxic Tommy, John Davis. Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I know you've already. A lot of Patriots fans wants a Tyron Matthew Honey Badger
Oh.
film room. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I've had some suggestions for that, so we'll see. Zach Avery's in here as well. Appreciate you being here. Already said Justin Whitmer, appreciate you. Sarah Small, Wyatt Law, and then of course Josh Scharf, Inside the Horseshoe. He's in here as well. Thank you, Job. Appreciate Joe B. Appreciate you, man. And of course, Sargo Milano is in here. Truett Trussler was in here right from the get-go. Obviously, that's just freaking awesome. Each and every.
Glad to hear he's feeling better.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling well. I got a Patreon text from him actually just the other day. I think it was yesterday, saying that he wasn't feeling all that great, but it is what it is. Super Alien 86 says I'm late to the stream, but best course of action in my opinion for left tackle is the best available guy in the draft when we pick. If that's the route we go, then I'm all for it. But I wouldn't mind grabbing a wide receiver too. Depending upon what we do in free agency. It has a lot to do with free agency. If we go out and grab a left tackle in free agency, then obviously, I don't want to grab high in the draft, unless it's a Band-Aid like what we talk about. But at the same time, if you have a guy that you feel is a top 15 that dropped, or a first round pick that dropped to our pick in the second round, that's a wide receiver or an edge rusher or a pat or whatever that you feel that we need, then go grab the guy, right?
Yeah.
Depends.
And I wouldn't even be surprised to see Ballard. I mean, because from what little looking into it that I've done, it's the defensive end is looking pretty deep and talented. So just prepare you guys. Don't be surprised to see another second round defensive lineman.
Which is weird because this time last year, well, a month and a half after this time last year, we were like, "What the heck? We spent the first and second round pick on a defense, pass rusher. That's what we did." And obviously they still need both of them. And I talked about it. I was like, "Well, that just means they had a first round grade on Odangbo, and." That's kind of like grabbing this year's first round pick, even though we didn't have a first round pick. So I kind of get that in a way, and people's not thinking about that, not remembering, hey, he grabbed for a future pick with a second round pick instead. So Brandon says, time to quit getting mediocre talent and get a staple in pieces. Okay. Yeah, I get it. Justin Whitmer wants to know, do you think that Glow or Reed will walk this year?
As a fan, I don't want him to, but honestly, you sat there and said that Fisher was in the 8 million range. I sat there was on PFF. They're saying they're predicting a 48 million over 3-year contract. Glowinski. I mean, I was looking at some of these numbers that and I just, holy cow, I'm sitting here hoping that we might find a way to get 1 or 2 of them back. Now I'm like, we may have trouble getting any of them back, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Glow and Reed put some good tape on last year.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be a lot of people out there, a lot of teams that'll be looking for them. If we get one back, I'll be happy about it. But they're offensive linemen. Good offensive linemen are hard to come by, and the Colts are very good at getting interior guys. That's one thing that they have no problem. They have a ton of depth, always have gotten very good at drafting centers, at drafting guards. It's that tackle position that they've got issues with.
Yeah, especially left tackle. I mean, I think we even do decent at getting swing tackles and right tackles. We just can't. I mean, but in our defense, once we get one, we don't let them go, whether it's Tarek Glenn or
Anthony
any of the other guys.
Yeah. LA Rams, what's up? Appreciate you being in here. Congratulations on winning the Super Bowl. And, maybe you'll be able to keep some of those guys that were on 1-year deals. Maybe you won't. We'll see. I wouldn't mind having 1 or 2 of those guys on the Colts, honestly. We'll see what happens, but it is what it is. But congratulations, you. The Rams was my pick this time last year when you traded for Stafford, and as soon as that happened, I said the Rams are the best team in the NFC. They're going to win the Super Bowl, and that was awesome. Appreciate you. Says hit the like, everybody. Yep. Stupid question. Toxic Tommy, there ain't that many stupid questions, but we'll say here, unrelated to left tackle. What happened to Strawn at the end of last season's camp? Did he? No, he didn't do that. He was a late round pick, okay, and he had a lot of development left to do, okay. Did he do great in camp for his, where he was placed in pick? I thought so. He showed a lot of promise. But Strawn, at the same time, had drop problems, like bad drop problems. He had problems in route running. Now, was he able to beat people down the field, just out-catch somebody on 50-50 catches, stuff like that? Absolutely. But he has problems that he needed to be, developing on. Could he get better this offseason? Absolutely. Could it help him get onto the 53 and be something? Absolutely. Stay tuned, because I got a feeling that Loyalist and I will be there, and we'll be giving giving you our reports on that on a daily. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember in training camp, and this is no knock to the kid. Like you said, he came from a Division II school, wasn't it? And his route tree looked more like a like a pole with a little, there just wasn't a whole lot of routes that the young man had. So he was just coming in, learning how to be a pro. I understand his dad's connection and stuff with Michael Irvin, but it's still knowing somebody and then being that guy. There's a lot that came with that. I am very excited about what he brings, just in his measurables. Now you sit there and you take his mentality and stuff. I think this kid has a shot. But there again, you go that deep, and that's all you're hoping for. You're just hoping for a guy that has something that you want to just see if you can bring the best out of it. And that give him time. He's going to get there.
Yeah, Donald asked if Strawn will get playing time this season. We'll have to see. Speed asks for a Komoko Ture film room. I've done a lot of those in the past. I still think that he's a guy that the Colts need to re-sign. I think that he fits this Leo position as a prime. In my opinion, he's a prime candidate for the Leo position over Kwity Paye. But that's just because of his body type, build, what he brings. He needs to get a little bit better at the tackling than, where he's currently sitting at. But overall, I think that, he is that positional guy. It is what it is. Justin Whitmer, do y'all think Kylan Granson will leap to the take that leap next season?
I just think his opportunities are going to help him take that leap. Because honestly, I do see that, he came in, and we even seen it later on in the season. He started getting a little more opportunities. He, at the beginning of the season, he was having that drop issue. I was like, oh, dang, he just looked like he was nervous or whatever, or just getting comfortable, acclimated to being a pro. But I think just in the fact that he's going to get more opportunities. Now, a lot of this depends on what does Jack Doyle do. And then if Jack Doyle leaves, what is the Colts organization going to do to fill that hole and stuff? But honestly, I think that this young man is going to have just enough. He's going to get the leap just in the opportunities alone.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, you guys, if you don't know, we talked about Patreon earlier. There's a lot of opportunities for Patreon to get extra stuff, including early access, because I will drop a lot of my film rooms a couple days earlier on. I believe I will start doing that at least 24 hours earlier, so that Patreon members will get early access to it. Oh, and don't forget, if you guys have a Colts room or just have bare walls and need to, kind of spruce your living area up a little bit with some Colts stuff, go to the Backroom Collection, because I said so. This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. What's up, Marquis Beverly? Appreciate you being here. Super Alien 86 says, we all know that left tackle and wide receiver are necessary positions of need. Do you guys view one or the other to be that needs to be seriously addressed?
I mean, me personally, I'm ready for a wide receiver. I mean, I wasn't that guy last year. I wasn't pushing real hard for a wide receiver. This year, I'm definitely much more. I want to get somebody that is, I don't want to get, to Brandon Wood's point, I don't want to get that middle of the road guy. I'm not saying it has to be top guy, max dollars or anything. But I mean, you brought up a name that I just can't get out of my head lately, and DJ Chark. That thought, if somebody like that or an Allen Robinson is going to cost a little bit more than a DJ Chark would, but I really want to get somebody that can help just be that Paris Campbell, TY, stretch the field type of receiver. I really do want to see that this year.
I don't know where you're getting $11 million for Cam Robinson, Brandon, because on Spot Track they got him sitting at almost $17 million a year. Okay, so that's a much bigger jump than what you're talking about, and you got to figure that after the Colts get that would be it. You're not getting anyone else in free agency that has any kind of a name after that. All right, at all. Period. End of story. Because the rest of it will be to fill out the other 23 spots that the Colts have on their roster, plus, extending Nelson. So I don't, it doesn't matter that, we spent so much money at tackle position last year. It's what we have available this year. That's my thought process on that. Gardaki's Playground, what's up? Appreciate you being in here. Let's see here. Where am I at? Oh, Wyatt asked a question. Oh, I got to bring that up just because. He says, what about Ben Banagou performing at Leo and possible rotation with Toure? I would be surprised if Ben Banagou makes the roster.
I'm hoping that he does. I've never felt this way about it. I'm just tired of keep hoping this guy to do something outside of training camp. Yes, I said the same thing in our Discord the other night. I was like, as much as I hated to say it, it was a thought that, does this guy, is this something that we need to look at and stuff? And I feel like he's already shown this organization what type of pro he's going to be. Okay. So even if this position does fit him better, I feel like the more important question is this a guy that, and I'm not saying he's disruptive to the locker room or none of that. Okay. I just feel like where's the motive, what motivates him to play this game and why is it not motivating him to elevate year in and year out? Fourth year now. And to your point, he just hasn't stepped up at all. He went from, not even, making the roster because he wasn't showing up at practice to, okay, now he's showing up, but it's just intermittently.
Yeah. Again, he's a guy that got a lot of praise by a lot of people in training camp. But the fact of the matter was he was doing that against third, fourth stringers, guys that wasn't even on the team when the season started, and that's a problem. And after that, he became, for the most of his time on his career, he's been a healthy scratch. And there's a reason for that. And that makes me a little nervous. And that's why I think there's a possibility he won't even be on the team this year. So just let you know. That's how I feel about it. Donald Shelton. Do you think with this roster on D that Bradley will get more out of the roster than Flus did? They're very similar in how they game plan, all right? But his defensive line is a little bit different on how he runs the pass rush than what Flukes does also. So that's going to be a little bit the biggest key component in my opinion, and it's why it's taking a while, I think, is the D-line coach. All right, they got to get that right. They have to get that hire right. Because the D-line coach is absolutely paramount to this team. That's why Brian Baker wasn't brought back. That's why he was just, walk, dude. You got to be able to rotate people in and out so that the stat percentages are good, so that people are all healthy and fresh throughout the game. And you got to be able to develop talent. And I am of the mindset that the Colts defensive line has a ton of talent across the line, and depth. From what I see on film, I think they have a ton of talent.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, I know. They need development and work, and Brian Baker just wasn't able to do that. So hopefully, they get this signing right. That's probably why it's taking so long to get that signing.
Yeah, and that's you're sitting there, and Robert Mathis is on Twitter today, sitting there making that exact point that he's like, I understand where they're going and know why it's taking time, and he really does. He's very high on the talent. So Colts Nation ought to take that worth meaning something.
Absolutely. Speed asks if the team cap numbers are set or can it change. I think they're set right now for this year. Now next year it is going to change because of the new development with the ad revenue that they have coming in on TV deals and stuff. So, but I believe it's set now. Mike Inns jumped in here. What's up? I hope you're not being
no.
No,
he's referring to something in Discord last night.
Okay. Guys, there's 30 of you in here. Please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live or upload a video. We're 42 minutes in. I think we've done a really pretty good job here. Covered a lot of stuff, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Justin asked what we think of re-signing Marvell Tell today, and it's a good signing. I expected it. Again, someone that was on the practice squad because he missed a year prior due to opting out due to the COVID. Still has some work to get done. He's got the ability to be a good depth piece. I think our starters are in place, but I think he has the ability to be a decent depth piece. Can't wait to see him in training camp. You Loyalist?
Yeah, it was expected, quite honestly. I mean, I felt like the Colts were going to bring him back because he was somebody who last year was weird. He came into training camp and you could just see he was out of sorts after the year off with the opting out on 2019 and stuff, or 2020, sorry. And then, so you could just see this training camp. It just wasn't. I mean, quite honestly, guys, you looked at him in week one and training camp to the final week, and it's like, okay, I can see where, but you knew that he wasn't ready. Remember, he came out his rookie year, did great, but then, you imagine you do your first year of work great, and then all of a sudden you just quit doing it for a year and a half. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that this kid, I love his measurables. I love what he brings, and he's a ball hawk. So yeah, I definitely think this was a interesting piece to hopefully get to watch and see blossom into something.
Wyatt goes back to the Ben Banigou thing, saying that Jerry Hughes was a bust in Indy, and then he got shipped to Buffalo, became a stud. Was he used differently? Better coaching? Just saying that Banigou just need the right fit and coaching. The earlier reports were his first couple seasons was that he just didn't put the effort in, right? That was a big deal. And I'll tell you what, if you think that's changed from Eberflus to Bradley, it hasn't. That's something that Bradley is big on as well, is effort. And we'll see. I don't know. I mean, you could different people, yes, but like I said, the scheme is very similar too. So Buffalo's scheme is way different than Indy's scheme. I'm not even going with the coaching aspect. So, like I say, right now, I don't know. I don't have high hopes for Banagoo. But anyhow, is there anything that you want to touch on before we end this?
No, I know I've mentioned it a couple times, so I'll go ahead and mention, guys, part of the Patreon, things that we do is we have a Discord. You see a lot of these guys, Joe Thornburg and Brandon Wood and Mike Ann. It's not just Colts content, it's seriously, it's anything and everything that you can think to talk about under the sun. I mean, whether it's politics or cricket or football or tennis, or it's going to be discussed at one point in time or another. Come on over and check it out, guys. It's a good time.
Absolutely. Also, we have our Discord besides Patreon. All right. Now, the Patreon, the link is in the description. You can come join. That's only $5 a month. I mean, that's less than a cup of coffee a month, man. And you get a lot of specific content and no chance of missing anything because all of my stuff, whether it's on my channel or I'm joining someone else's channel for something, it still goes in there. Make sure that you check that out. There's also Patreon specific content, Patreon only live streams every Thursday, right? So, you can actually get in and watch those or join if you want, because I drop a link for that as well. But we have our Discord, and right here is the link to my Discord. Feel free to join. That's what Loyalist was just talking about. We all sit there in Discord, not just football, not just Colts, all sorts of stuff. We talk about a lot of stuff. Appreciate each and every one of you. All right. I think we're about to that point. Gardaki says Discord is awesome. I think so too. And I'm in there occasionally. I try to pop my head in at least once a day. But usually there's somebody in there, especially in the voice chat. A lot of people hang out and just talk. But guys, thank you so much. I see about 27 likes on there. I appreciate it. If you haven't smashed it, we're leaving, so please smash it before we go. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. And as usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.
What are the odds that the Colts make the Super Bowl next year? What?